Here's the step most parents don't realize they need, and is one of the most important parts of preparing your kids for life in the Dominican Republic. Welcome to day 17 of my 30-day YouTube challenge, where I document our family's intentional step-by-step plan to move to the Dominican Republic long before we actually make the move. Yesterday, we talked about legally recognizing your marriage in the Dominican Republic, and today I'm going to explain why we're getting our kids ready into the Dominican civil system so that later they can get their own cedulas to go to school and eventually apply for registry in if they choose to, right? I mean, apply for residency. So before I want to talk a little bit about what is an apostille or apostle. An apostille is an international certification that proves a document like a birth certificate or a marriage certificate is real and legally valid in another country. So it basically tells the Dominican Republic that yes, this document is authentic, and many countries participate into this program here in the US, and obviously it gets translated and apostilled in the language of the country. So why do we need to apostille or apostille our kids' birth certificates? Well, to get them into the Dominican Civil Registry so that they can eventually get their cedula. Remember, the Dominican cedula works as an identification as the social security number here in the US works, and this will eventually help them get into future school enrollments, residency, and other legal records. So, for example, okay, so even if you're Dominican, this is required because the DR does not accept a US document as is, so they must be apostille. Okay, so what is the process? So each of our children, they were born in different states, California and Texas. So each state has its own apostille office. So I sent each original birth certificate for authentication, and I used a local apostille office right here in Doral, and they charged me $150 per child. The processing time for this, it took around a week and a half. I don't know if different states take a little longer, but for those two states, it took right here to come to Florida a week and a half from the office that I sent it. So what happens once you go to the Dominican consulate? So let me explain a little bit. I left out a few things yesterday. After receiving the apostilles, I took them to the Dominican consulate right here in Miami. They scan my cedula, so that's why it's so important for you as a parent that were born in the Dominican Republic. Fix that first, because that is the entry for everything else after that, to get them into the civil service. I mean, I'm talking about your marriage certificate and your kids. So they scan my cedula, so every document you process gets registered under your file. So then the documents get entered into the Dominican civil system, and the processing time takes anywhere from a month to 2 months, depending on the workload. For us, they say it's going to take like around 6 weeks, so towards the middle or the end of December. What does this mean for your kids? Okay, once this is processed, your kids will officially enter the Dominican Republic's register, which means that they can apply for a cedula at a legal age. For my son, which is already past 16, he can have his minor cedula. And for my daughter, once she reaches 16, she can have her minor cedula, meaning she can go and take a picture and have her cedula number there, and then she will be able to use it for apply for the for other stuff, for like they can do it easily to enroll into the schools or the universities. And most importantly, guys, I want you to know this, most importantly, especially if you plan to buy property in the Dominican Republic, they can inherit property without complications as they are recognized legally in both countries. So take that into account. So if you are planning to move to the Dominican Republic with kids, apostilling their documents is one of the smartest steps you can take early on, because it will save you time, avoids delays later, and it gives your children options whether you move next year or 3 years from now. Guys, this is day 17 on my 30-day YouTube challenge. Tomorrow, I'm going to go through how to organize your documents, timelines, and next steps so that you don't feel overwhelmed during this transition. If you want my free 7 steps property buyer checklist, just email me at info@livingintheartguide.com with the title 7-step checklist. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do me a huge favor. I really would like to have at least 30 subscribers by the end of this challenge. on my YouTube channel, which will be in the description below or above, depending on what you're looking at. I only have 6. So help me out and hit that button so that you don't miss any part of this journey. Take care. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.